In the Middle East, officials with the Lebanon government are reporting more deaths today as Israel and Hezbollah continue intense cross-border exchanges. The Israeli military said a targeted airstrike in Beirut killed the commander of the militant group's missile unit. At least 5 other people also died. Meanwhile, people elsewhere in Lebanon are fleeing, desperate to find somewhere safe.
They struck right next to our house and our building was shaking. We got very stressed. This is why we had to leave and we came here. We were told it's safe here.
This was the scene in southern Lebanon this morning. The roads choked with traffic. Many of them among the estimated 28,000 people have sought refuge in over 150 schools. The latest fighting follows a massive Israeli bombardment yesterday that left more than 550 people dead and more than 1,800 injured. Right now, Ottawa's advice to thousands of Canadians in Lebanon is to get out while they still can by commercial means. But getting a flight is now virtually impossible. Emirates, Qatar Airways, and Air France are among carriers that have suspended services in and out of Beirut. More than 200,000 people here in Canada have Lebanese ties. And the escalation in the conflict between Israel and Hezbollah has them desperately worried about loved ones. The CBC's Sarah Levitt is in Montreal with more on that part of the story. So, Sarah, you've been speaking with members of the Lebanese community there. What have they been telling you?
Well, Andrew, you bring it up that there's this really big tie between Lebanon and Canada, sizable Lebanese community within the country, and a lot are in Montreal. And I got a chance to speak with some of them, many tied to their sofas watching what's happening this past week, but more particular these past 2 days. In particular, I spoke with Rita Wickham Haj. She is in Montreal with her daughter, but her husband and son are in Lebanon. They are in Beirut. And while I was speaking with her, she just talked about the stress of not being there and not being able to help in any way or really know what is going on. And while I spoke with her, I also spoke with her husband, Nadim, who is in Beirut right now in safe place. But he did mention that his father is in southern Lebanon in his 80s and refusing to leave even though it's unsafe. Nadim describing just that his father feels like he has roots there, but he's also worried not only about leaving his home and what might happen to his home if he left, but also the route to Beirut as a man in his 80s. We saw those images of the cars trying to get out of southern Lebanon. And so families really just worried about what's going on. Let's hear from Rita.
The worst thing, I'm very worried about them. I have the fear of they would have, it's a risk to get hurt anytime in Beirut, since the airstrikes all the time, all day long.
So, Sarah, how has the Canadian government reacted to the escalation in the conflict in Lebanon?
Well, we're hearing more today with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau as well as Foreign Affairs Minister Mélanie Joly in New York for the United Nations General Assembly, repeating the same thing, and that is something that they have been doing for the past few months. Joly saying, get out if you can. Do not go to Lebanon if you're a Lebanese Canadian. Also saying that right now there are not plans for an evacuation of Canadians in Lebanon. Let's hear from the Prime Minister about what he had to say earlier today.
We need to make sure that civilians are protected. The violence needs to stop. The women, the children killed in Lebanon is extraordinarily concerning. The people of Lebanon, Lebanese Canadians, are watching this and incredibly worried. We need to make sure there is de-escalation, both by Israel and Hezbollah. We need to protect civilian lives. We need to make sure we're moving towards peace and stability in the entire region.
And so the NDP is asking for the Canadian government to start evacuations. I should mention, though, many of the Lebanese community here in Montreal that I spoke to say this kind of reminds them of what happened in 2006, where there was a war then between Israel and Hezbollah involving Lebanon, of course. And in that case, the Canadian government did do an evacuation, although it was highly criticized at the time. Some of the Lebanese here say that that is important, that they should have an evacuation. Others say they are almost used to having a country in conflict and they're unsure if this will escalate or not. They just say they're just hoping their loved ones remain safe.
Sarah, thank you. The CBC's Sarah Levitt, live in Montreal.